Yo, yo! How's it going? How's it going? Welcome back to another video this week. This video for Monday, December 9th. Gonna do a watch list. Won't have any arrows from the trades on Friday, but I can go over what I traded. I traded Soon, DXYZ, and Saddle. Fairly simple. Saddle, overextension daily with a nice big top wick and blow off volume, range expansion on the daily chart and the daily bar. We got a nice pullback into close, so any pops back into prior resistance, I am interested. So we got that pre-market, little blowout, 8 a.m., little blowout, and then some failed follow through here off open. So we got this pullback into open. So I was leaning into pops and was using prior day's highs as a guide, which was this 390 line that ended up just barely breaking through. So I stopped out, and then it snapped and acted as a top. So I re-entered. And on this failed follow through here, through that 360s confirmation level I was looking at from the prior day, scaled more through there, covered up a third, shorted pop, covered up to about 3/4, re-shorted here, it started to stay firm, so I sized right out. And then once it started to fail again, I put a small position back on, re-shorted pops, covered about a quarter, and then stopped out the rest here on the reclaim. So a nice little trade around a core on a typical daily chart setup for me there. Soon the exact same daily chart. Daily starting to ramp up, volume starting to blow out. 1, 2, 3 days, you get that gap up. Morning shove, and I'm looking for the red roll. I had put out a tweet. I see El Jefe here in the chat. I believe he was the one who commented on the tweet. But on days like this, I typically wake up fairly early. I had woke up here 1 a.m. my time to check and see where it was gapping to. If this thing, I saw it at 17, 18, I likely would have started putting some on early. But it was roughly a flat open, not too crazy. So I went back to bed for a couple hours, woke up again around 3:30 my time, and I see it right back here, same spot. I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, it didn't really do much. I look a bit closer at the chart and see that it went all the way up to near 16. So now at this point, I'm watching it and watching it and watching it, and I see this $3 fade. This gap up parabolic into 1580s, like that would have been the trade, and then covering into this $3 pull. But now that it's opening down near its lows, it kind of ruins that A+ setup I was looking for. So I have seen that flush into 7 a.m. be the trap off open. So I waited till open to see what it wanted to do. We got that flush. Quick shove back up into pre-market resistance that was met with pressure. So I shorted into this lower high here in the 14s, scaled through a low a day through 1380s, and had risk on high a day 1450. This was one where I set a hard stop and was just going to let it work. And then looking at this 1 minute chart here, we had, let's see what the previous close was, 1333. So right in here, it's starting to go red, and you get that quick save. And then it fails, quick save. You get this shove, stuff, which on this stuff move, this should have failed, should have died, and you get 2 more wick candles. So I'm covering up my whole position here in the 1360. Did not want to fight it. We got 1 VWAP exhaustion, so I put some on into this lower high, stopped out here through 14. Tried it one more time here through a possible VWAP exhaustion, failed follow through. Didn't cover any here, and then just covered up on this dip. So I ended up just slightly red on this. I was green on this trade, stopped out, full size loss on this trade. And then this one basically was the one that put me red, because I had double the size here than I did on these retries, because I was waiting for it to start to confirm red again. So I wasn't full size on these, but the two trades took away that one full-size gainer. So I ended up red on that one. And then DXYZ on my watch list going into Friday. I had noted my $50 buy into the close, given that it was holding that breakout level. And I posted my chart on Twitter if you're interested in seeing my sells. But I sold here into the upper 50s, about 20 points early. And with Tesla gapping up here in after hours, IB, I believe, was showing it up like $10. Let me look again. Let me see here what Tesla is at. Yeah, 398, 399 right now. So Tesla's gapping up $10, so that likely means that DXYZ is going to gap. So I sold this far too early, but I'm out now, so cheering from the sidelines. I took my my $6-7 a share, thinking I nailed it, and yeah, it kept going. So botched that, but it is what it is. I took the bigger picture, like the morning trade on it on Friday or Thursday. This one's spiking up through it. I don't mind the quick sells. This is straight up spike. But once it consolidates the entire day and proves that it wants to hold over under the breakout level, this is now a bigger picture entry for me. So if I'm risking down here towards 49, risking a buck, maybe $2, buck or two, and then selling for 6 or 7, yes, it's like a 3-4 to 1 trade. But these are the outliers that I kind of need to stick to a process where my plan was to sell on a green to red move if it gapped up the next day, and it never came. I just was fearful of giving back a nice gain on the gap up. So it is what it is. Jeff, how's it going? Tina, how's it going? So yeah, with this daily chart, I'd likely give it a try. I'd have to see what Tesla is doing. It looks like it's trading in tandem with it again. So Tesla's something I'm interested in a short. Typically, I prefer to short these large caps into the latter end of the week. Also kind of played into the soon thesis with the $15 calls. They did close it under 15, or did they? I think so. Or did they close it over? I thought they closed it under. 1501 or 14.99. 1501. Yeah, 1501 was the close. Okay, so they closed it over 15. Right around it. I was thinking they were gonna bag all those call sellers. Like that was where the open or the call buyers. That's where all the open interest was. I didn't think the market makers would want to close it in the money. I figured they'd have to unwind hedges into close and would have led to selling pressure, etc., etc. So I thought the options would have played a role in this, but so typically with these larger cap names like Tesla, I imagine options, like partially options driven. Yes, it is technicals where you have this big picture breakout, but I typically like to trade it with options on my side going into Thursday, Friday expiration. They typically have cleaner unwinds, but on a big enough gap up, like if this thing is gapping up to 400, I think it's going to be hard for me to ignore a parabolic short on this, similar to this day. If it's going to gap up like this, whether it is Monday or it is Tuesday on a gap down, I think I'd have to, my hand would be forced to trade something like that. Same with DXYZ. If this thing's now at 75 after hours and this is gapping up 90 to 100, I don't think I have much of a choice. Worth noting this 105 resistance looking left, and yeah, we are already at 74 after hours. I do have this 75 line drawn from back here. Let's see if DXYZ has any prints here. It's showing 76. So it's still up there. But yeah, if this is gapping up 76, 80, 90, my market open, I'd have, I think it'd be a similar situation where I'd be kind of forced to short that overextended gap up. But those will be watches. What's up, Josh? How's it going? Qubit still holding and consolidating over that 770s. Not as clean of a daily, but the breakout does look like it's looming. QMCO, definitely some relative weakness with the basket. QBTS, I saw this breakout here through the 370s a couple days ago. You can see my comments on it, and I didn't take a position on it because this one was spiking and straight up holding, where this long into market close is a typical overnight gapper for me with the setup. But when it is sector driven and fundamentally driven, I typically like to see the basket with a tailwind pushing these things, and none of the other names were really going with it. Qubit moved with it and then faded right back to where it came from, and QMCO did absolutely nothing. So I didn't see any sector strength with it, so I ended up not taking that one. But it's going nicely. So this would be one that I'd hope for higher the better. I don't think I would really want to trade this unless it's gapping up 50-70% tomorrow. I'd like to see this one have one more day. It's not extended enough from the 380s for me to warrant a short on it. So I'd like one more day if it doesn't gap up and exhaust crazily. PRZO, I think worth noting, kind of ABCD intradaily. There was, if you watch Sunday Scan, Chris noted a bidder walking this thing up on Friday. So not sure if this is natural buying or not, if they're trying to work a position or have a different agenda. But I'm just looking at it because of the daily chart starting to form. Same kind of thing as some of these other breakouts like API, where I was looking for some sideways consolidation near the highs. So this one here now breaking through the 180s, I think is a worthwhile watch as long as it continues to build over these prior highs in the 180s, 190s. But you do have that bigger picture resistance up there at 225 that I'd like to see this retest, pull back and hold 190 before it re-breaks out. I wouldn't really want to see it go straight from 140 breakout. I'd like to see it consolidate for a little bit more. SATL, I'd be willing to give this another shot tomorrow. Volume is still high enough. Starting to blow out, hasn't gone red yet in 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Monday would be its 5th day. I don't remember why. Let me see if I can see why this one's up. Yeah, nothing in news, but it is aerospace and defense name. Classic. That was that sector we talked about last weekend that was kind of catching fire. But so this one here, the 4 EMA has now moved up a little bit into the $3 range. So with this one still at 390, I think there's some room lower. You can see some wicks here. Each shove through $4 gets met with selling pressure. So I would take another shot at it if it went and held red. It hasn't gone red yet. So that would be a trend change I would keep in mind. And then look for a pullback into this 3 to 310 range where this other volume profile is. Yeah. Soon, it's pretty funny because usually this kind of volume bar here off the open, when it's red, engulfing, bigger than any other day, that's typically the sign of the top. So going into Monday, this isn't really like A+ for me anymore. I considered this more of an A grade setup on Friday. You have the options, you have the range expansion, volume expansion, parabolic daily, and then you get that failed fall through momentum off the open. A+ would have been this blowout if it held gains and morning spiked, and you get that 1580 to 1620 blowout, and then you can capture that range from 16 down to 13. So you have such a nice cushion that if it starts to fail 1280s, you can start to scale back in around that core. Um, but given how much it consolidated here, I feel like any short would be a 1280 proactive cover. And any sort of build over 15, I think shorts are underwater. So I would kind of use this as a range day where I'd want to see it break one side or another. Ideally, this just continues to go now for another day or two. It is extending itself, but it's not really A plus at this point anymore, especially after squeaking red and then holding. There's definitely an underlying bid there. API, I briefly mentioned it a minute ago, but we got a weak open there on Friday that got met with a buyer in the tape, held it up, and 640 still has yet to break. We got a double top off of Thursday and Friday highs. So a break through the 630s could be an early entry, a scale through 640s, and then a sell into that 730s would be my plan. 730s, if you remember, over here. So a lock proactively into that, and if it starts to build past that, then could rescale around a core. Just holding a small position, but I don't have any position on it right now, but that will be my plan going into it on Monday. And then a bunch of names that hit scan here. Amy is a gold and silver name, up from 80 cents to 190. That's a big enough move for me to start looking for a first red day. This day here on the 2nd, they announced that they're going to be presenting at a conference on the 3rd at 10 a.m. And right around 10 a.m., you could see a little bit of volume increase. And this thing's continued going. I haven't seen any other PRs since then. If I pull up silver, I believe silver's been pulling back over the last little bit. Let's go 30-day. Oh, glitch. Okay. Where are we looking at here? We want a daily chart. Okay. Yeah, so basically since November, November 1st, about November 1st, silver has pulled back now from 35 US down to 30 US. And if I look at gold, pulled back from 2,800 down to 2,500. 1 second. So they are pulling back. So other than the conference that brought the volume into this name, this is a extended enough daily. Nice range expansion. Volume starting to blow out there on Friday, and a steady bid up. This one has had some green to red fake outs, so that's not really a reliable trigger. Let me look left. Pull back, low day consolidation, break down. Like this is typically fairly bearish action that I like to start to scale into something like that. So maybe now the daily chart's more extended. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So yeah, we do have these 170s looking left that could be some failed fall through momentum spots. Worth charting those lines for a if we get a flat open for a failed spot. But otherwise, gap up, parabolic, same kind of thing I always say. But this is a typical daily chart pattern process. one of the names that was brought up last week, I forget the guy's name. He reached out on Twitter asking for thoughts on this, so I touched on it on Friday when we were, or Thursday into Friday, when we were right around here. He was asking if I liked it for a liquidity trap, and the answer was no, given all the bag holders here up in the 50 to 55 range, that any sort of pop, I would think we met with more selling pressure, that I wasn't looking to get long. Pre-market, they threw out a PR, and this thing just went sideways all day. Just put in a doji daily candle. So if this starts to build back over 60 cents or so, it would definitely start to put it back on my radar. That PR kind of changes things a little bit. These bag holders are still here, but you can see the selling pressure on each pop back up into these volume profile levels that we charted from Friday. So if it starts to build back over here, the long would be, I wouldn't be buying a 60 break, but it would be a bit more interesting. I want to see how the action starts to build over 60. And then you've got this 75 and this kind of, I said 60, 57, 60, not really important semantics, but 75 would be the big picture daily, and then this 60-ish would be some key levels I'd want to see test how they act. GXAI, I'm just throwing this one on because these AI names, you've got BBAI, continue highs, you've got GXAI, I believe RGTI was in the quantum names, kind of moving with QBTS, but GXAI in this AI basket, history of one and dones. It did come back here a bit after hours, so I'm not super interested in pops on something like this. Longs aren't really bagged, given that after hours pop. It does have a history of one and done fails, but yeah, not really a plan on that one for me, just noting because it's a percent gainer. Same kind of thing with RGTI. I'd throw this on the list beside QBTS and just watch how it reacts with it, but this would be the same thing where it's not extended enough from this 350 breakout. I'd want to see this start to go parabolic and look for that overextended first red day. RCAT, daily failed fall through momentum setup. This one coming into my wheelhouse now. We had traded it here on this overextended first red day. We had this breakout that got stuffed, then acted as a top, so now you got this little head, or left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then once this neckline starts to break down, I consider that a daily failed follow through. And then if you start to zoom in here to the intradaily, you've got this $8 key level right through here, whole $half level. And if 8 starts to act heavy, starts to break this multi-day consolidation, then I'd look for a quiet lean for a trend join and just try and capture the volatility back down, maybe into like a 720, 680 flush, something like that. And GWAV, no real plans on it, just a notable daily chart that went parabolic, had a little liquidity trap for that long idea there through 87s that we had mentioned on here, and now it's consolidating its upper end of its range, so it could be gearing for another leg back up through the ones, but no plan on it right now, waiting for it to push, pull, consolidate, and choose its direction. So main watches tomorrow are looking like Tesla and DXYZ because they're gapping up so much. And then I'd probably put Saddle, API, and UAMI, I think. Yeah, Saddle, API 640 break, AMI and Saddle, overextended first red days, DXYZ, Tesla, sector sympathy, overextension, gap up, parabolic, failed follow through momentum, and then RCAT would be a quiet idea for that 8 daily failed follow through. So plenty on watch. Likely won't be trading them all at the open. I doubt they'll all gap the way that I'm planning, and they won't all act exactly how my plan is. But those will be my names that I'm prepped for right now. We'll see where we're gapping tomorrow, if they're aligning with my setups and plans that I've made. And if ticker X does Y, then I do this. Just simple if-then plans. Hey, what's your opinion on Intel bounce idea on Monday? Asks Jenica. Not really in my wheelhouse. Not a whole lot of volatility on there. I wouldn't have much conviction. Typically, when I'm looking for mean reversion dailies, I'm looking for volume and bar expansion. When they start to put in days like this, like you get a candle like this on a washout, this should bounce. And then you get a day like this that holds previous day's lows, this definitely should bounce, and all pops up into these low 21s. They clearly have selling pressure because it just can't get through there. Could it get through there on Monday? Sure, but I wouldn't want to put my money and bet on that. If you're getting, a bar of 50 cents and then a bar of 70 cents and then a bar of $1.50, and it starts to get bigger, 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 and volume starts to exhaust on the way down and really start to speed up, that's when you get that elastic move back up. Otherwise, this is just trying to pick bottoms on a downtrend where there's clearly some sellers there. So no plan on that one for me. Thank you, Golan. Appreciate it. I'm glad you made it here on time today. But yeah, that's about all I have to touch on. I think we can leave it there. I think we've got enough on watch. I don't need to start looking too far. But yeah, I can leave it there. Thank you guys for coming by, as always. Of course, hope to see a few of you in the IU room. Any questions? Obviously, I answer everything in the comments. You can reach out to me on Twitter. I think my Twitter's in the comments section. Or in the description, I should say. Yeah, it is. My Twitter's down there, so if you want to reach out, I prefer if you tag publicly, because then I don't have to answer questions 16 times. I can just reply to it once and keep it public. Same kind of thing in IU. I know I've gotten a few PMs in there, but what I do prefer is questions explicitly in the lounge. Even if you direct them to me, you can tag at D22, and it'll alert me, someone is speaking to you, and then you can answer it publicly, and it helps me explain it, helps me learn, and then anybody else who could have had the same question, they don't have to ask it again, because now it's already been asked and answered. So, anyways, thank you guys. Tomorrow we'll get in where we fit in, make some memories, and I'll see you guys in the room. Peace.